Hello viewers and welcome to this final preview for WRC 10. Well, it's pretty late in the day, the game's out in just a few days, but I've got a near final build. It's not final, it's awaiting a day one patch, and after that patch has been applied, then we can go through the game a bit more of a critical eye and give it the whole review process. So that will come in the next few days. It's a bit of a last minute preview. I was hoping to share a bit more in the way of no comment runs and everything else earlier in the year, but with the game development moving on so much, it was better to have something a bit more representative. Now this year, let's crack on with the game. This year we have the anniversary mode, which is a big deal. It's the 50th anniversary of the WRC, which I understand it's in around January next year, and you know, it's a milestone of years of incredible driving over all these landscapes. You know, whenever I watch rally drivers through the ages, they're super committed, super brave, and it's a sight to behold. It really is, and it's wonderful to also see the passion from the fans that drive it as well. And one thing you'll see, there's a little video clips in the game where it shows just how risky it is with the fans back in the day. Wall to roll, driving between people, the waves of people parting as he drove along. I mean, it's incredible to see. Now, there are new stages in the game as well. There are a number of historical rallies, 6 historical rallies. Some of them are modified versions of stages you know and love from the WRC games. There's a couple of new ones in there as well, Acropolis and the San Remo, both very challenging but great, well-modelled stages and fun to drive as well. I think first thing, just to mention on the people, they do have an increased amount of people on some of these stages. They're not running into the road, but they are lining the road. It does make it quite challenging because if you touch the people, you will get an immediate reset. So it's bad for your rally if this happens. Now, when you're working your way through the sort of historical mode, unlocking all of the different cars, there will be times when you're sort of on the limits. You've got to be really careful going through the sections where there are more people, but it makes you kind of tense because on one hand you don't want to hit the people because you don't want to get a penalty as well. And it just makes you feel like, wow, what those rally drivers, you know, committed, can't see where they're going, listening to their notes and just having faith. Really, the Group B era was a crazy, amazing era. And there are some great cars in here as well from all of your, they've been building up over a number of years, but from all of your rally memories, it's all here. Lots to look forward to in terms of working your way through. I kicked off, of course, with the start, the Alpine 110, A110, or Alpine, sorry, Alpine, and it's a great car to drive. I always call it an Alpine, but I know it's the Alpine these days, as it always has been in France. And it's a great car to drive. Now, we'll just mention on driving, when you played classic cars in the earlier games, for me, they were no fun at all. They handled like junk. They just weren't very fun to get much out of. Then in WRC 9, they made a big step forward in terms of the handling, especially with the sort of historic cars and, you know, the older cars in general. And in WRC 10, they've moved it forward again with the addition of improved suspension, weight transfer. It adds a lot to the detail and nuance of the car as well. It gives it an individual feeling, very different from the new cars, which are almost like spaceships in comparison. They're a whole different level when you get up to the modern WRC class. These cars had a real character to them, and it just makes them fun to drive. I just enjoy the driving. It's not about them being the fastest car, it's just the fun you can have through the flowing stages, throwing the cars into various different scenarios. Now, the anniversary mode includes a number of different scenarios where you step into the shoes of the real rally driver and you have to perform as they did, i.e. absolutely nail it. Some of the times are going to be harder than others, and they do get very difficult. I always struggle on the night rallies because you really do have to concentrate on your notes, and it is something that you've just got to completely focus and clear your mind when you're running those night rallies, though it does help to have a bit of daytime knowledge of the stages as well. And of course you've got these old and new stages which have been brought back. There's a Spain one which some of you may recognise. It's slightly remodeled from an older stage, as well as the small changes to all of the stages that you've recognised before as well. So nice new addition on that. I will just point out as well that I particularly enjoy driving the Sega Rally cars for me as a Sega Rally fan from years ago. The Lancia Delta, Toyota Celica, the Lancia Stratos. Just good fun stepping into them. I suppose when I drive those cars, you know, I'm always thinking about how far we've come and how incredible it would have been to have played this back at that time and the various steps forward that there's been. So it really adds something to it. But when I was working my way through, there are a couple of cars that stood out to me, and they are obviously the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5 Tommi Mäkinen, and of course the Subaru Impreza WRC 1997 with Colin McRae. For me, it's iconic, and when you finally get to it, it's a night stage at San Remo. But I decided to do New Zealand. And you're just looking at it here. You know, when you look at the old game and then you cut to the new game, you can see the obvious steps forward that have been made. But at the same time, it just felt so strange going back to New Zealand. I just wanted to try it again and get in the flow and drive the Subaru around the stage. And this is where again you see a big difference in the physics. The car flows around the corners now. You can swing the car into those long drifting gravel corners where before the car would have gripped or you had to carry an awful lot of speed to get it sliding. Now there's a much more natural feel to coming off the power, throwing the car into a corner, getting on the power and controlling that slide through the corners. It feels more natural, feels more like a real rally car. Now, I've driven a rally car, but not on the limit like these guys have. But I have been taken out by a couple of rally drivers as well to show me how it's really done. And the faster the rally drivers were, the more it felt like a video game. It almost didn't feel real. The sliding for miles over the gravel at incredible speeds, how close they were getting to trees, that seemed like near-death experiences every time. It's very special, and of course you can do that now with these cars. I'm very passionate about this game. I'm very passionate about what they've done with bringing the old cars in and getting them handling right, and the heritage of motorsport. Really important to young fans today to also see some of these cars. And if you do have the chance to visit them at a museum, I went to Lohiak Museum a few years ago. It really was a wonderful opportunity to see some of these cars in person and the heritage of rally. You know, love a bit of rally, love seeing the heritage, and always appreciating these drivers. So the Subaru will be on a separate video. I'll be coming to that, and it was a highlight of the package for me, just in terms of being a bit of a Colin McRae fan. That era, you know, with Colin McRae, Tommi Mäkinen, and you know, Carlos Sainz, and then of course the young Richard Burns coming up, and it was just a different era of rally where it was a big deal on British TV at the time. It was a real peak, and the crowds were huge, wonderful, and they've tried to recreate that the best they can with current tech. But you can see where it can be in the future when you can have, you know, one day in 10 or 15 years time, when we have the PlayStation 6, 7, 8, 9, when you can have thousands of people and recreate those events. It would be amazing. So that's a look at the anniversary mode. Lots to see and do there if you're a rally fan. Obviously there's the epic career mode, which I haven't gone into yet on this version, but there's always lots to do that will take you forever. There's the season mode if you want a career mode without going through all the management bits as well. And there's of course there's time trials and everything else. Then you've also got the co-driver mode, which makes a return, which I haven't filmed yet, but we'll come to that at a later point. Again, I'm waiting to day one patch, and the day one patch is going to change quite a bit here and there in terms of the overall layout. Now, just a few notes on since the demo build we played earlier this year. Thanks to everybody for all your feedback on the demo build. I forward all that to the developers, over to them. Some improvements have been made. Obviously, frame rate, I was running on medium, and now I'm running on very high settings when recording. That's great. So it shows the frame rate I'm getting is now roughly 60 FPS. Well, it is 60 FPS when I'm not using my OBS to record. So that's great when it comes to the main game and the detail looking much better. I haven't tested the console versions as I say this, so I'll come back to that on a later video. This is still preview stage, and we are getting the console versions very late indeed, as is all of this preview. Windscreen has seen some improvement as well, so you can actually see where you're going. They've taken down the darkness. There are a few windscreens that I've seen that still have some hints of darkness and some hints of that animation, but certainly for the most part it's been cleared up. That's a good step forward. New stages, of course, in the game. We've got new stages. Estonia, which you know, they've all got their, you know, like fast gravel, very tricky stages. Croatia as well, various tarmac, again very narrow, lots of undulation, you know, lots to explore. Great, again, I really like the new stages. They're rugged. You really need to get your head into gear when driving them. You need to be committed, fast, but it feels like a rush. Belgium is coming. I understand that's going to be DLC. And Spain, which of course is the new tarmac. Again, the revision to handling. There's been a revised handling update since the earlier build earlier this year. I had a few issues at the time. I mentioned the car was very pointy, and it moved away from some of the precision I could get, so especially in Japan, you know, on WRC 9. I'm happy to say I've been able to play Spain, but also go to Japan and get that precision back again. So happy with that. Maybe some slight differences to braking distances down to the new weight system and inertia in the car and getting the weight transfer right. But it feels great on gravel, and I think you need to understand your car a bit more and work with it when it comes to gradients, because they make a big difference in terms of overall braking and ability of your car. So you need to keep all of that in mind, especially when the weather conditions change. Predominantly in this video I've gone with clear conditions just to put some rallies together, get an idea on how the base rally is. What I tend to do is race in the dry, get an idea on the handling and the base handling, and then transition to the wet and look at how that works in the transition as well, which just adds lots and lots of challenge, but it works in a very natural way. So pleased with what I've seen on the handling on the new rallies. Lots of steps forward there. Content wise, and the game is huge now. You've got all your rallies, you've got shakedown stages as well, that adds to it. You've got your, as I just reading the stats here, 120 special stages and 52 official teams, 20 legendary cars as well. So in terms of the package, it's great. Bit of a heads up on a few areas as well. You've got the training section and the challenges. I think these are great. They came in 2000 WRC 8, and of course it's great to retain those, especially with the new handling. I've been driving them in different cars. I will also point out as well that if you you know, start in the lower classes, you don't need to step straight into WRC class. It's good to start in the lower classes, get an idea on how the game plays, get a feel for the stages, then work your way up. In the past, I've actually enjoyed racing WRC2 sometimes more than WRC, just because of the driving experience it's offered me at times. So, don't feel you just have to step into the top class. There's lots to discover with the other classes, and with the different weather, time of day. There's so much to see and do. It is unbelievable. There are also numerous changes to the old stages as you knew them, whether it's a graphical overhaul or whether it's just minor changes to bumps and sections. So if you're experienced at the game, you will see a few sections that you're not expecting. Apparently Argentina is coming in some kind of DLC, maybe. It's on the Steam page, but it's not in the game, so I'm assuming that's DLC. And besides that, it's a shame that we've lost Turkey as well, because I really liked Rally Turkey. I thought it was brilliant. I like to have tried it with these physics. Maybe one day we'll see that added to another WRC game, but it was great to play. So the package itself is huge. There's loads to do. There's online features. There's the car livery editor now as well. And of course, with that, you can paint your car. You unlock colours, and then you paint it in a very similar way to if you've used something like Gran Turismo, something like that. I haven't quite got my head around it yet. It's slightly different to the livery editor I used on Gran Turismo, but it's once you get your head around it, it is quite similar. It's just working through the flow and the process of how to make your stickers and then apply those to the car. I think one thing that is, I'm not aware if there's any kind of marketplace, and I really do feel that a marketplace could add to that. But either way, it's nice to see it as an addition. It'd be interesting to see what expert painters can paint when they've got the time. Also, there are lots of different base color schemes as well for changing the types of paint, whether it's metallic or gloss or matte, and just adds a bit more flair to it. So interesting to see what people come up with in a nice new addition, what with the co-driver mode and other elements last year. There's ideas, there's new things happening. Just a word on the co-driver. They've improved the co-driver. The co-driver now has a countdown when you're starting, other little elements. You can turn that on and off. There is a mode there, I forget the exact setting, but you can turn it off if you don't want the co-driver commenting. So, you know, I can't remember the exact words now, but if you crash off, he might make a comment, or if you're sliding the car too much, he makes little comments now and again, you know, if it's getting a bit risky. Or you can turn that off and make it him just read the notes and not respond to other things that are happening. Some notes are definitely better than others, but I look forward to receiving your feedback on that. So besides that, final element will be on audio. Some improvements have been made to audio on some cars not so much. It's going to be a really mixed bag on audio, and we're going to have to go through that, take it or leave it. It's not going to be the best on the market, but it is certainly an improvement on what it was on the demo build we tried earlier this year, thankfully. So there is a bit more detail in there, and they are still working on audio, so I know it's an ongoing project. It's a tough one for the team. I know they want to create the best rally audio, but it is a process, and hopefully they'll get there in the end. But other than that, I think that's about it really, covering all the new features. I've got an interview coming soon with Alain Jarnoux, the game director. This was recorded a couple of weeks ago, but we just haven't had the time to produce the interview and get it up. So where it was due to come up pre-release, it will now come up post-release now, and I'll have more content on that. But that's it for this preview. I hope you've enjoyed it all. I look forward to covering more on the game. Do like and subscribe. Keep up with all of my content on WRC and other racing games. Do let me know what rallies and cars you'd like to see me driving on various different videos as well. And also, if you can, let me know in the comments what camera styles you like to see. Do you like to see just full screen? Do you like to see me driving in the corner? Do you like the over the shot, the steering wheel? Do let me know what kind of views you guys like seeing. I've shared a whole selection in this video. I sometimes like seeing the driver input, especially in rally. I like to see all of that when driving. It adds a lot for me of the experience, not just seeing the car moving, but exactly what the driver's doing. But let me know what you would like to see as well. And that's it for me for now on this WRC 10 content. Loads more to come, and there'll be more from me very soon. Hello viewers, well thanks for watching the video today. Do like and subscribe, it supports what we do. Do become a YouTube member. YouTube Patreon supports all of our content you see on the channel, and of course lots of gaming from retro to modern games. I love it all in terms of racing action. So click on one of the two videos just there to find out more.